Coming to you from sunny California and the Great White North. Get ready. We are breaking down the obstacles on the Armchair Ninja Podcast. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Armchair Ninja Podcast. It is Friday, June 15th, 2018. My name is Rich, and joining me once again is Bijan. How are you making out?
I'm good, bro. I am good.
We had a great episode again this week. The season's looking amazing. Loving the obstacles, loving the ninjas. Nothing to complain about this season.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't go great. I would go good this episode. I kind of feel like the first half went a little too extreme in the whole sad, the tone was a little off in my opinion, but definitely picked up in the second half by a wide margin, man. But I really, right off the bat, how do you feel about these two new obstacles, man? They were quite interesting because I really like that. Oh gosh, what is that? It's like a weird pegboard type obstacle that goes up and down. What is that thing called, man?
The Slippery Summit?
Yeah, Slippery Summit. I really like that because I don't know if y'all caught this, but like the way the obstacle is designed, at least on the ascent at the beginning, you have to keep your arms completely like dead hanged. You have to keep your arms fully extended at length, and that drains everything out of your arms. It's imagine the most intense dead hang imaginable because you're also doing explosive movements and slamming your hands into it. So that's got to be brutal. It played a factor this episode, but I really think it's going to play a major fashion in the finals because that is going to drain everything out of those competitors' arms, and then they have to go on to the second half of the course with a salmon ladder. That's going to be very, very interesting to watch. That other obstacle, man, those big rings, I mean, I don't know if I've ever felt this way before, but like just going into this episode, I looked at that and I am 90% sure I can do that. But it was so much trouble for so many ninjas. I think it's one of those obstacles where you just have to do it. You have to be on it to actually get a real sense of the difficulty of it.
Yeah, I don't know. I think they made it look difficult once they were on it. Sure, it kind of looked easy at first, but I think they showed how difficult it is. Like the results speak for themselves. It was not easy once they get on there. Yeah,
like you just see the difficulty with all the competitors having trouble with it. So I'm definitely not knocking its difficulty. I think it's just one of those low-key things where you overlook it just from the offset. You look at it and you're like, oh, just spin it around, put it in the peg, and move on. Okay, cool. But once again, and also something that I was talking about last week, those obstacles are so much bigger in person. The show, like the cameras just can't do them justice by the size of these things. So I'm sure there was a lot. It's far more trickier than we can even imagine.
Yeah, and to be clear, for those that aren't realizing this point, we are talking about the Miami qualifiers, but we're also going to be talking about...
I sure hope they know.
Yeah, by this point, I hope they know. But we're also going to be talking about the Ninja versus Ninja semifinals.
Yeah.
The last of the semifinals, so.
Spoiler, by far, in my opinion, by a wide margin, the best episode of the season. Just saying.
Yeah, it's really good. So stay tuned for that. If you haven't watched Ninja vs. Ninja yet, get on it and catch up. You only got one episode left. So yeah, overall the course, I liked it. I liked the new obstacles. I'm a big fan of flywheels. They're not overly dramatic, but they're good. They're solid obstacle. Razor's Edge led to some pretty spectacular falls. It's very tricky, almost too tricky, almost to the point of being random, right? It really, really tests the ninjas in a way that's just one of those ones where they just run as fast as they can, though.
Yeah, it's a scary obstacle, man. I mean, I would be horrified to go on that particular one, but as you said, there's that luck factor, but then who knows? Maybe it's not luck. There is skill involved. You got to get the foot placement right. That's one of those obstacles I really don't know how I feel about it.
I think the name's pretty appropriate, right? Even some of the top ninjas were kind of riding a razor's edge there, right? If an inch or two to the left or right, it would have been done.
Yeah, that margin of error is pretty extreme.
Okay, so let's take a look at the runs here. We know it's probably the best run we've ever had, the best results for a first run for a night ever. Booty Cothran takes the course.
Oh, so ready.
Oh my God. Booty was fantastic. Like, stole my heart right off the bat a couple of seasons ago, and in this episode lived up to all the hype that we've been giving him.
I love this man. I love it. He knows like who he is. He gives no like qualms about it. Like, this guy low-key is in shape, by the way. Like, we all talk about how skinny he is, but he's got, like, definition. He's definitely toned. The guy, I don't know. They kind of portray him as, like, this weak little small guy, but dude's toned. He knows what he's doing. And in many ways, you know, this course in particular built for somebody his like with his talents and size. So I was really excited to see him. And I don't know about you, Rich. The whole time I'm like, are they really going to show somebody hit the buzzer like right off the bat? Is this happening? Dope, man.
It was so cool to have that, like, right off the bat. You get to see the whole course. They're really surprising enough. They're really mixing up things this season. We're not getting that standard pattern we've gotten used to.
Yeah, I mean, I'm glad they're switching things up. I definitely think, I don't know if they listen to people, but more so just I think they were just self-aware of the fact that a very certain structure was happening for almost 5 seasons, you know, of the first competitor maybe falls at the second obstacle, and then we slowly move on, and about halfway through the episode we finally get our first, you know, completionist, and the second half is just friggin' loaded with people that are finishing. I like this mix. I like this randomness, and I'm curious, like, I doubt it happened, but do you think, like, maybe he was actually the first runner of the night and he completed it?
I think he was. I think that's why they went with it, is it was such a novelty to them. I don't think they expected him to complete the course. They wanted a good character to kick off the night, when the people would recognize instantly and get the crowd going. And then he ends up completing the course, and they couldn't help but comment on it during the interviews and during his run, so it became just good to conclude it.
That's why I'm kind of thinking that, as you said, it happened because it wasn't just VO. You know, when I hear voiceover from Matt and Akbar, you can kind of think, oh, maybe there's some post-production, maybe there's some trickery happening. Like, as you said, in person, you see them visually talking about it. So that's where I'm like, oh, this probably actually happened. And that's really neat, man.
So we kicked it off with the Booty bandwagon. So happy for him. 49 years old. Wow. Just unbelievable.
Love it. Go Booty.
We had some fast forwards after him that are worth mentioning here. BJ Robinson, with his 103-year-old grandmother watching, just barely saved it on the razor's edge. He was one of those first ones we saw that practically folded in half on the other side of the razor's edge. But the more notable one is Andy Johnson, who went face first into the side of the things. It's like, this razor's edge is absolutely a monster.
Yeah, I mean, we saw it's one of those obstacles where it's not just the newbies that are afraid of it, you know.
After him, we had Jessica Clayton, and I think she's probably what when you're saying about the heavy-handed thing towards the beginning of the episode, which I agreed at the beginning of the segment. I kind of like, okay, she's a single mom. Here we go. I actually really liked her segment.
No, I liked all the segments, man. Don't get me wrong. It's not a thing of, like, I disliked any of the segments. It's just a culmination of all of them kind of, like, packed in the same area where it's like, man, this episode is just really depressing me. If that makes sense, you know?
Maybe it's because they're kind of back to back, right?
Yeah, that's what I was saying.
Yeah.
Like, yo, you guys need to spread that out, yo, because, like, this is some serious stuff we're hitting on. I mean, we're going to get into it, but it was a theme of, it wasn't just like a sad thing. It's serious stuff, you know? Her story is real and needs to be told, you know? Homelessness, struggle, fighting for her kids, trying to get better, and not only in Marin, like in her life and everything. Like, these are real things that need to be told, and I'm glad it was told. But it was just a culmination of its parts, you know. And the most important thing for me, honestly, was seeing her kids. That really connected with me. It's not only her story, but there's a bigger story being told there. And I was so happy to see them on the side and everything. And in particular, just the fact that they do seem to be in better, I guess, in a better situation.
Yeah. What got me, honestly, what kind of dragged me into the story the most was when she said that she was going to quit Ninja. She felt selfish for doing it when they had all these other struggles. That really hit home for me because that's how I could see that feeling. I could put myself into that situation and think that same way. And they told her, no, that you have to continue on. I really thought that was powerful.
Yeah, that's a good point. I mean, you're a parent, man. I'm sure you can relate far more than I could ever, in terms of that. I'm sure you've sacrificed for your children, right?
I wouldn't want to put myself on par with that. I haven't had that same struggle, but I would say that any parent out there, you do what you can for your kids and you want to provide for them. And when you feel like you're not, you certainly don't want to take that extra time for yourself, right? Like, it's really easy to sympathize, I guess, in the end. It's just something that you would feel like you're being selfish when you're not, right? You have to take that time for self-care, and they called that out, and I think that was really, really good and healthy message to get out there.
Yeah.
But she did great on the course. On top of that, on top of everything else, her run was fantastic. I loved watching her run because she was riding that razor's edge. She was, there was some struggle. She was pushing through. It was just all guts that got her through.
Yeah, it's pure heart, as we said. I mean, she wasn't making it look easy, She definitely struggled through it, but she kept persevering and kept fighting forward. And it's one of those runs where you can't help but root for him, like full on.
Yeah, I thought she had it. I was so excited for her coming down the end of the slippery summit, and she ended up falling in the end. But man, that was a good run. It was so engrossing. I would have lost my mind if she had managed to get up that wall.
Dude, it would have been amazing. Now, she made it to the finals, right?
Oh, for sure.
Okay. Because there were so many women that at least made it to the rings where it's just like, was she one of the 5? I couldn't tell. Okay, cool.
Yeah, at the summit, she should be good, yeah. Next, we joined Michael Johnson mid-run. He tied his shirt to his leg, which ended up not really being a factor. But
why did he do that? What was the point of that?
I don't know. Okay, so you were thinking the same thing because I thought maybe he's just trying to not get it stuck on the ring, like wanted to grip less, but it didn't play a factor at all.
Just throw it in the crowd, bro. Like, if you're taking your shirt off, you're taking your shirt off. You're not going to put your shirt back on. Like, what? You're going to take your shirt off, complete an obstacle, and then, like, put it back on? Is that a thing?
No, I think he was trying to reduce the friction, right? So if he had it, if the shirt was what was touching the ring instead of, like, his sticky, sweaty skin, then it would glide along easier, right? He could kind of slide the ring over it, I think, was the idea.
Dude, you take your shirt off, the shirt's staying off. That's all I gotta say. I did not understand that the slightest, but it's whatever.
The size of this dude,
I don't think the shirt was a factor in him falling.
I'm not second guessing the guy that size. He is an absolute beast. That guy is huge.
Yeah.
He's not the size you would expect for a Ninja Warrior, that's for sure. Like, it's got to be a lot of muscle to try to carry there, a lot of weight. He ended up falling on the dismount off the slippery summit, but a great run. He did make the top 30. We will see him in the finals.
Yeah. I don't know.
You don't want to say
I got much to say about that, dude.
But he has ice in his veins.
That has got to be one of the worst catchphrases I've ever heard. I'm sorry.
It is.
It's so bad.
I forgot. I had blissfully forgotten that line. Why did they have to bring it up? He didn't say it this time.
Yeah, I'm sure he didn't. I'm sure he listened back and is like, that is really dumb. But then again, I saw people with their shirts on, so I don't know if he's making a thing or if it's a thing, and I'm just not in the know. I don't know, man.
I think it could be fine in certain contexts. It was just the way it was presented when he was on top of the wall. It didn't make a lot of sense. It just seemed odd.
All right, moving on.
Moving on. We had the Ninjatron. Do we really want to talk about the Ninjatron?
Moving on.
Ninjatron got fast forwarded out on the first wheel. Bree Widener, was so excited to see her back.
Yeah, that was I was excited about. I'm actually a really big fan of Bree. I'm curious that she was fast forwarded, right?
Yeah, she was fast forwarded.
Yeah, but still, at least it was nice seeing her and I'm really excited to see what she's got in the finals because she was very impressive as a rookie. And in particular, Ninja vs. Ninja, I mean, we'll talk about it later, but she impressed me there too. So I think she's going to surprise a lot of people with her talent and growth just in the span of a year.
Yeah, she did go out in the ring turn, which I would have expected to go a little further. She has grip strength for days. She was up there for over 2 minutes, they said.
Yeah. Well, she's tiny, man.
Yeah.
Oh, wait, does that mean is she not in the finals then?
I don't know. Let's check quickly.
Oh.
Nope. On further inspection, it turns out she wasn't fast enough for the ring turn. Bree is not moving on.
No. Bree, come back to us. Hey, by the way, shout out to Flip Rodriguez, man. He's got his own Jeep commercial. Most random part of the night for me watching ANW. I'm like, when did this start happening?
What? I skipped all the commercials.
You didn't see it?
No, I missed it.
Nah, it's like this weird, like Jurassic Park weird Jeep mashup thing. But yeah, you got Flip Rodriguez like doing parkour, and he's Flip. You know, they're just showing him as like ANW Flip. I don't know. It's some weird mashup. It's pretty dope. I mean, good on him for being a star, a superstar.
Very cool.
Very random.
Speaking of weird and random, we have Morgan Moose Wright take the course.
Yes.
This guy is everything great about American Ninja Warrior.
Love it.
He is a PE teacher with like just personality just flowing all over the course. And last year he fell on the pipes. I'd forgotten all about that. Ends up injuring his, I forget the term he used, but let's just say he hurt himself in a very specific way.
In the berries.
The berries, yes.
I think he called them twinkle berries or something like that.
Yeah, something like that.
But yeah, I mean, very personable guy, very, very fun, friendly. I mean, he's got one of those personalities where you can't just not root for him. You know, just you want to see somebody like that do well, full of positivity. Plus, you know, teacher of the year, working with like little kids and everything. Like, he seems like just the funnest guy to be around.
Yeah, there's just all around a fantastic run, fantastic guy seemingly, and like all the personality we want for ANW.
Yeah, I'm really happy for him. And like, I got to be honest with you, I don't know if you guys saw his wife in the crowd. That woman is so yoked. Like, I want to see her run the course. Like, let's start a thing to make, like, or get his wife on the show. Because I want to see how well she does on the course. Because she definitely is in shape for it. Let's just say that.
I didn't even notice that. That's funny.
Yeah, like, they reference his wife, and I'm like, oh my God, like, both of them definitely work out. Let's just say that. So, you know, one of the mooses are on the course. Let's get the other moose.
So he went up backwards on the slippery summit. What did you think of that the first time you saw it?
You know, I thought it was actually it was one of those things where I was thinking this could be risky, but I like the idea. You know, going up it the traditional way, you have to extend fully you have to fully extend your arms. It can really drain out your grip strength doing that. Build up that lactic acid in your shoulders and everything else. Especially if you're a bigger person, that can cause some problems. If you have the back strength, going backwards, you can really, it's similar to the crank it up in many ways, where, you know, they do that swing and they basically like use not only their momentum, but a lot of their back muscles to get up that, and at least in the first part. It's similar to that. But the descent is where it's an issue, right? Because not only are you going blind, but if you go too far down, I mean, you're putting a lot of pressure on your hands where you can't even like prepare for it, right? So as long as you're smart in that manner, you can do that very well, and it's probably a lot easier on your body. It's a gamble, but I'm glad he did it.
Yeah, I expected his hands to peel out on the descent. Like you said, he can't see what you're doing. If you jump too far, the pressure on the bar, if I'm reading this correctly, is going to be pushing basically out of your hands, right? You're not going to be, it's not going to be pressed into your hands as you're coming down. It's going to be pushing out through your fingers.
Yeah, well, in general, in my opinion, there's only one way to grip like the bar for this obstacle, which is a cross grip. Because any other way, it's going to be shooting out from under you at some point. Like, just the cross grip in general is the way to go for this.
Fair enough. He was able to beat it, and yeah, beat the whole thing. This is when they called it out as an old man's course because we had so many older finishers. I was a very happy older guy.
Get that old man strength, you know? I feel like it's just upper body focus quite a bit. I mean, they have a quite difficult balance obstacle, but other than that, it's fairly upper body, like, strength based.
Yeah. And so is Eddie Stewart, who got fast forwarded, the pec bouncing guy, your favorite from last season and the season before.
Moving on. Hey, at least we didn't get, you know what? We didn't get at least some dumb long vignette about it, so
we didn't
get a horse ab status.
No pec flexing boot camp this season.
Yeah, you guys. Luckily, we don't have to have a Bijan rant going on.
Next up, we had Meagan Dillard with her three-legged therapy dog named Zeus. She was looking.
Yeah, that was a thing.
Yeah. That was a segment for sure.
Yeah.
She looked very strong.
I feel like we could have. I don't know. Could have dedicated some time to the other ninjas. I don't think that requires a full segment. That's just me.
Well, she looked really strong on the flywheels, but took a hard fall on Razor's Edge. Like just one of those ones where you just like, thank God it's not me on the course.
Yeah.
But after her, we had Gabe Stewart. This is the type of like inspiring run that makes the show great. This one was one I was a little iffy on with all the promo and stuff that they had done. I was like, I don't know about this, but in the end, I absolutely loved it.
In former seasons of American Ninja Warrior, another show ago in many past, one could say they would probably try to milk this for everything it's worth, to where it would be very uncomfortable. I think that would be fair to say. I'm very glad they showed respect to the entire segment and everything that happened, because this is still very early and raw in people's minds, and it's a very, very sensitive subject, but a very real subject that needs to be told, you know, and in every sense of the term, this guy is a hero, and I fully respect him and all of his colleagues for everything they did. So it's really cool to see somebody like him, you know, stand on the course and just show, I don't really know how to describe it, man. Like, just the heart, the courage, right? Like, he got the call. Let's just say he didn't apply for the show. And he probably only had maybe, 4 weeks, 3 weeks to train. But yet, he still gave it his all. And it was something that him and his students could all gather around and probably, like, make maybe a bonding experience. So I'm really happy for them and everything involved. The vignette was powerful. The story was powerful, and I'm just happy that he was part of the show, and more importantly, the show did him respect. It never went too far, I guess.
So yeah, the shooting in Marjorie Stoneman Douglas was back in February, and this would have been recorded not very long after.
Yeah.
So JJ helped him train, and I don't know that I've seen anyone more enthusiastic than that crowd as he made his way through that course. He did way better than expected. He ended up going out in the ring turn, but like, it's one of those, you know, every obstacle is a victory kind of a thing. Oh my God, this guy just had the crowd going nuts.
Mm-hmm. And really, the fact that they were able to mention that he hasn't trained, you know, as long, really added to the story, because there was so much a sense of unknowingness. You know, oftentimes we'll hear about this quote-unquote rookie, but we see them just training for probably over a year, you know, and you're like, all right, yeah, sure, a rookie. This guy genuinely was, and the fact that he was able to get so far in the course really mattered. You know, he gave it his all, and I'm sure he really wanted to go far for everybody involved. And it wasn't just him. The students on the side, the teachers on the side, I mean, they were all in it together. The passion that they all gave. I mean, in many ways, it wasn't just his run that we saw. It was his entire school's run. And that was really neat.
And we went from one inspiring run to the next because Ryan Stratus took the course next. And I'm loving this.
Dude, looking back, honestly, I'm starting to, you know, this episode, this first half of the episode wasn't as bad as I was kind of harping on earlier now, man. Looking back, I'm like, you know what? stop being a sourpuss, Bijan. Like, this was kind of good. So, you know what? Resending it. Great episode. It's happening. Calling it now.
Yeah, how can you hate on this episode? It was a good one. Ryan Stratus took the course, and he's one of only 4 competitors that has been on every single season, which they love to mention anytime one of those 4 people take the course.
Quick Rich. Name them.
David Campbell, Brian Kretsch, Ryan Stratus, and Lorin Ball.
Damn, you got them. Go, bro, man.
I got it covered. I didn't even write it down. That's pretty good.
Pretty sure they forgot Brett Sims. I mean, maybe he skipped one, but Brett Sims, if he hasn't done all of them, he's definitely done close to all of them.
Yeah, I think if they made it 9 seasons, they would probably be adding a few more there.
Yeah.
But Ryan did fantastic going for the mega wall. I was pretty sure he would get it, but I wasn't positive. I was so happy for him when he did.
You know, honestly, I thought he might not get it because of the shoulder issues. You know, I thought if he just goes for, I don't know, I was worried about him, but man, like, if there is one person I'm so happy for, I kind of have a soft spot in my heart for the OGs. Like, don't you feel the same way, man? Just, you know, those guys are on a whole nother level of heart.
Yeah, in a weird way, I also felt like back payment too. You know what I mean? Like, it was like,
what, $1,000 for each season, right?
Exactly. It's like, yes, finally. It's like, I love seeing them get some money. Like, and you know, it's so cool to see them push themselves to a limit they're not even sure they can reach on the qualifier of all things, right? It's so early in the season to see them stretching themselves to the limit and doing that. That's great. And on top of that, for them to walk away with some money, which has been a sore point for so many ninjas over the years, and for fans of the show wanting them to be able to get something, just seeing Ryan get it, like you said, couldn't happen to a nicer guy, someone that's so passionate about the sport, brings so much to it. Really happy for him. Think back to who we've had hit the top of that wall this season. This has just been a great addition.
Yeah, but not only that, I mean, the people that have gone up the wall, if you look back, it's a lot of younger, you know, competitors. He's one of the OGs. He's one of the older competitors, and just somebody that you just genuinely want to. Like, I'm happy Daniel Gill got up that wall. I'm happy Nick Hansen got it. I'm happy Adam Rail got it. But one thing they all have in common is they are young dudes. This guy's in his, like, deep in his 30s, and he is just kicking butt still. And I don't know, still, as you said, pushing the threshold, you know? And just, if there's one person that gives passion and everything to this sport, it's got to be the guy with the beard screaming as hard as he can, flexing.
A great moment. Very happy for him once again. But we're going to continue on with the episode here. Let's keep pushing on. We've got Kevin Carbone and Rico Rivera got fast-forwarded, both who fell on the slippery summit, which is surprising when you saw Kevin Carbone going there. The clip they showed, it looked like he could go for days. He seemed to be fine. I don't know what happened where he fell.
Very, very fresh. Yeah, he didn't seem tired or weathered at all. So could have just been a slip, man.
Yeah. But then we had the Ninja Mermaid, Charity LeBlanc, take the course.
Oh.
I was waiting. The one thing from this episode I wanted to hear your opinion on was the Ninja Mermaid.
You know, I'm sure she's a nice gal. I'm sure. I'm happy for her family, all of her fans and everything. This was so unneeded. So unneeded. And I guess now, you know, we can talk about the fact that this I don't know if this happened in former seasons, but in this season in particular, it's definitely been a story point from the tapings and everything, that they found a lot of social media people, a lot of people that are popular in social media, and invited them onto the show. Which, whatever, I'm not hating on that in the slightest, you know. But I feel like they're looking for some of these people to do well and feature them on the course and, you know, get some of that, I don't even know how to describe it, kind of that BuzzFeed or, you know, somebody that's popular, basically like a pre-made star. And I just, this one was a swing and the miss for me, man. Like, don't get me wrong, she trained, she gave it her all. She did well. I'm not hating on that. But just the entire segment, like we got multiple minutes of a story about her dressing up as a mermaid and other stuff. I don't know. Just I couldn't care less. It's one of those things where I really just, my brain just completely blanked. I'm like, this is so dumb.
It's a little silly, and I think it was a little self-aware. I don't think she's as serious as they made it out to be, I guess. I liked it to an extent. I think it may be a little long.
Yeah, once again, not hating on her with it, but just, I don't know. I think it was just the production. Sometimes we get that, and it happens every season. It's not egregious or anything. It's not a horse abs or
yeah,
what can I say?
It was unexpected. I have to say, of all the things I expected to see, a mermaid taking the course was not up there.
Yeah. Shrimp Boots was a thumbs up. Mermaid, thumbs down.
She was strong, though. Like, she was way stronger than I thought, because I thought it was all about her personality and her followers, like you said. But she looked really confident and was doing quite well. She did go out in the rings. I thought she was going to go a little further the way she was going up to that point. But she's a solid ninja. Definitely someone to keep an eye on.
Yeah, solid. I don't know. I like Bree more. Moving on.
Yeah, Bree was great.
Sometimes it's just personal preference, guys. What can I say? I don't know.
Yeah, but what was funny was I made a note here because they said Jessie was coming up, and I did kind of a double take. They had mentioned her. It wasn't that I didn't know she was on this episode, but they really didn't overhype her. It was fantastic.
No, I'm happy about, well, I don't know. Honestly, screw the haters. Like, promote Jesse Graff all you want. Jesse Graff's awesome. So,
but they go too far sometimes.
Yeah, definitely.
I thought they did a good balance this time. They mentioned her at the beginning. We didn't have, and coming up later tonight, over and over and over and over again. I thought it was really good. I thought it was just the right balance of what we needed.
Yeah, I agree.
But before her, we had this fresh new face, Drew Dreshel, take the course.
Now, this was a vignette, man. This was fun. I hope we get more of this, honestly. Like, make this your new thing, Drew, because why don't you describe what happened? Then I'll go more in.
All right. So with Drew, last season, they were running out of things to say with him. Like, they kind of, when people have been on so many seasons, like, what else are you going to say about them? They've had a good angle with him. They had these crazy social media challenges. They had these crazy social media challenges that he has. So where he basically pushes himself to the limit and tests the other ninjas to match or beat him.
Yeah, it was awesome. Like, we had, because it not only showed off his personality, but we got snippets of some of your other favorite ninjas doing, like, being very personable, fun, trying challenges. You know, I want to see Joe Moravsky do something crazy. I want to see Neil Craver trying these other crazy challenges. You know, this is fun stuff for me, and I really enjoyed it. Even though it was just a few seconds, perfect. There was so much dense, fun material here, and I just ate it all up. That one though, where Neil Craver trying to go up this freaking wood plank or something, 12 feet, that was crazy.
He is crazy Craver, and he proves it over and over again. That is not a great idea.
No, man, but it was fun.
It was fun to watch. Drew took the course and, not so shockingly, did insanely well. But then did give us a shock because there is no way I didn't see him going up that mega wall. I could not believe he missed it.
I would have bet all my money that Drew Dreshel would have gone up that mega wall. Like, I just feel like there's certain ninjas that are a lock for it. Drew Dreshel, Flip Rodriguez, Najee Richardson probably. Like, they're just certain ninjas, and it's like Drew Dreshel didn't make it up the mega wall. What? Like, no fault. Like, I can't blame him. I mean,
it's not a given. It really isn't
huge. But like, if there is somebody that's like inhuman, it's Drew Dreshel. So that completely floored me.
Yeah, it's weird it's weird when you think about it, right? Like, the mega wall is this massive object that they're throwing in the way, and almost nobody can do it. But when Drew fails it, you're like, how could he fail it?
Hey, you know what, though? It makes not only him more human, but it makes the mega wall even more daunting, bro.
It does.
It's like, how many people have we seen get up that so far? One, like the average has got to be like 1.3 per episode, right? Because we had 2 in LA and then 1 in both other episodes. Like, this is not something where it's like a lock, people are going to get it. In many ways, this is shades of the original Warped Wall back in like the first 3 seasons, where it's like pretty much nobody was getting up that thing.
Very cool. Very cool. And then we moved on to Jesse Graff, who is working on a secret movie project of some kind. I think this is a movie, right? A secret project of some kind.
Yeah. It's like super like it's got to be one of the big movies, right? What do you think? Avatar, maybe Avengers 4 or something like that?
I don't know.
I low-key think it's going to be a big one. I don't know what it is, y'all, but it's got to be big.
It's got to be. It's really piqued my interest too. I really want to know what it is.
I know, right? It's like they're so secretive. They're just like, you're teasing us, y'all. You're teasing us.
She was able to beat the whole thing and hit the buzzer. That was her first buzzer in a little while, so that was good to see.
Dude, I'm super happy for her. I mean, first of all, Jesse Graff, amazing. In my opinion, still probably either number 1 or number 2. She goes back and forth with Alyssa Beard and low-key Meagan Martin, depending on how well she's doing. But, like, very top of the women's, American Ninja Warrior. And in many ways, like, just so happy that she was able to make time on this show. If we remember in the first few seasons, like, we had Levi Muhlenberg, he started doing some movie type things, and he just didn't have the time or in the schedule to participate, and he was sorely missing. And I feel like Jesse Graff would have been the same. If she were to miss this season, the show would have moved on, but there would have been a really big, like, hole, so to speak, like, people really want to see Jesse Graff and what she's capable of. So I'm glad she was able to come out, even though, she didn't look as fresh, so to speak, because, she wasn't training as much. She still was able to do the entire course with ease. It just seemed like she was a little bit more conservative, which in my opinion was the right thing to do. And I really hope she makes it to Vegas. I so want to see her get past stage 1. I really think she has so much to show in stage 2 and 3.
Well, we will see how she does in the finals in a few weeks. So, fantastic job by Jessie once again. Could watch her all day, every day. She's I just love watching her process. Like, my favorite moments are always when she stops and figures out her hand placements. Like, just that, seeing her work that out. It's just, I don't know. There's something about it.
Yeah, it's awesome, man. What are your thoughts? Do you think we're going to see a woman up the Mega Wall this season?
No, I don't think so. If there was even...
Do you think next season, man?
By next season, maybe. I think there wasn't enough time to prepare as much.
There was no time.
Yeah. So,
but yeah,
they'll start pushing for it, and you'll see some of the taller women. The shorter women, it's just too much to ask. I think. I could definitely eat my words on that, and I would love to. But I think taller women like Jessie, and I don't know who else. Who else would be even on the radar for that?
Jessie, Alyssa Beard, Lebrecht.
Jessie Lebrecht for sure. Yeah.
Barclay is really good with it, but Barclay's 5 feet. Like, I'd be terrified to see Barclay fall from that height.
Right.
Like, we need to talk about, by the way, Neil Craver attempted the Mega Wall, and he fell, like, the wrong way where it's like a gap and you land on your feet. That was terrifying. That's, like, my biggest fear. Like, if you fall from that height and you land on your feet, you can really break an ankle very easily. That was scary. I'm glad he was okay, but, like, that's what I'm talking about. If you guys look back, I'm like, ugh. Like, you get 5 foot Barclay Stockett falling from that. That's not going to be pretty, y'all. Did you know Meagan Martin's only 5'3", man? I don't know why. I always envisioned her like the height of Jesse Graff.
How did I not know that either? And it's funny, we both caught onto it at the same time.
I like audibly screamed, what? Because I don't know why. Maybe just her next to other competitors or something. She's always seemed like one of the taller women to me.
Yeah, I would have said 5'6" or 5'7" if you had asked me before that.
Yeah, stunned. And by the way, we're talking about, we saw her in Ninja vs. Ninja where they give all the stats, and it says clearly she is 5'3". And that blew my mind.
Yeah, it was a little strange. Speaking of, let's move on. Let's move on to That
To
episode.
the best episode of Ninja versus Ninja, man.
Whew, man, oh man.
Damn, this was good.
We had 4 amazing teams once again. The semifinals have just been killing it every episode. We had Team Ronin, that's Flip Rodriguez, Meagan Martin, and JJ Woods. The Ballers, Lorin Ball, Paul Kasemir, and Meiling Huang. The Lab Rats with Chris Wilczewski, Michelle Warnky, and Brian Wilczewski. And the Young Bloods with Tyler Gillett, Bree Widener, and Kevin Carbone. Like, those are some teams.
Really, really good teams. Very hungry teams. And one thing I really liked about this episode, which was the story of the episode, a lot of teams and a lot of competitors willing to make risks. Really willing to go for it.
Yeah, there was a lot of, we'll call them Bijan moments, where people were fighting it out on the parallel pipes and stuff.
The best. Like, yo, there were some fisticuffs happening, y'all. Like, I saw some dude get kicked in the face. Saw some elbows happening. I saw some swinging legs just flying all over the place. Like, these people were getting down.
Yeah, that happened right in the first matchup between, in the relay. JJ had his foot right in Lorin Ball's face on the parallel pipes. It was absolutely insane.
You know he was doing that on purpose. Like, he could be like, oh, I'm just swinging my leg around. He knew what he was doing. You don't get your leg up in the guy's face like that.
But what the other thing they're doing is both of them are kicking the other pipe so the other one can't grab it. Like, it was just like this kicking match.
Dude, I love it, man. Like, go for it. I'm so, like, it's a preference. I'm sure there are people that are all about the art of the sport and camaraderie and, like, sportsmanship. I'm sorry. I want to see people not like meanly fighting, but I want to see people really get down on it. Like, just go for it. Maybe I'm just one of them Americans. I don't know. Want to see violence in their sports, but I was really enjoying this. And just in this first matchup, I mean, some of these matchups with these peeps, man, it could have been run of the night. Like, in at least 5 of these runs, this entire episode could have been run of the night on any other episode.
Yeah, it was so good. There were so many good races. It was hard to pick. The Team Ronin, who was definitely one of the favorites, and I know one of your favorites to win for the season, almost lost out in the very first matchup to the Ballers because
close.
They had to win 2 relays to stay in it. They were just back
really,
and forth.
It's Meagan Martin, man. She was the key. Like, you were right when you said, like, going into the show, even before it even started, Rich, you were saying the women are going to play a major factor. They're going to be key. And Meagan Martin is the key to this team.
Yeah, because she saved them. If she hadn't won her matchup, they were done because both Flip and JJ lost theirs. Yeah,
it's clear. Flip and JJ are good as anchors in relay. Like, they're good at certain portions for relay. But when it comes to the overall, like, course, Meagan Martin is the consistent one. She's the one that gets them to the relay where the other two can shine.
So Ronin did end up taking it in the end in the second relay. Lots of great things about it. I wish we could dedicate full episodes to these ones because these are such great episodes. We have one more afterwards. Next week we'll be covering the finals. But yeah, if you haven't checked out Ninja versus Ninja, make sure you do. It's worth going back. All of your favorite ninjas competing on head-to-head course. There is nothing to dislike about this.
Yeah, at the very least, watch this episode. I mean, man.
It has the best matchup ever, and I know you're going to say it's the same one when we get down to it, but wow, just something we've been waiting to see for forever. Michelle Warnky versus Meagan Martin on the extended course at that. Just everything I ever wanted to see. But before then, we had the Lab Rats versus Young Bloods. This was
surprising.
A little surprising, yeah. Yeah, not quite how I thought it would go down. It did end up going to a relay. I did expect the Lab Rats to win in the end, but it just didn't quite go out in the same way that I expected.
Yeah, it wasn't a shutout, right? Or was it?
No, it didn't. It did require one quick relay, but right off the bat, you can see the hunger and one of the funniest, craziest maneuvers we've seen on the show.
Yeah.
Kevin Carbone swings sideways on the parallel pipes and swung right in front of Chris Wilczewski to basically block him out and steal his spot, and just completely almost cheated. It's practically, it's so crazy what he did.
Oh, I love it.
That it was borderline cheating,
smart.
but you had to appreciate it. The Wilczewskis were just laughing about it.
Yeah, I don't consider it cheating. It was smart. It would be cheating if he knocked the other ring away from Wilczewski or something. We've seen people cross up lanes and pass before and everything. Though the one thing though is I got the first glimpse, and I don't know if you noticed this, but I'm sure you guys saw it later on. Is Wilczewski did the craziest come from behind thing on these parallel pipes where he just throws his body at the first pipe and then in the same momentum gets to the second one in one full transition. And that has got to be the most impressive athletic feat I have seen this entire season. And he was able to master this technique very early on, and it played a major part in the success of his team. And I don't know, that was so impressive. And this is a new obstacle. This isn't something that these ninjas could have trained for. So he was able to go for this, learn it, and master it all within the course of 1 or 2 runs. That is insane. Good on this guy. And just
it was funny to me that they seemed surprised by this method later. It's he did it earlier. He totally, I noticed that too. It was such a great technique. I thought, well, that's going to make a huge difference in the relay, and it definitely did. It was just, all around, that team is solid. They are a relay team as they describe themselves. They may have individuals that might, mess up here or there, except Michelle Warnky, who's darn near perfect. But as a team, they're so consistent across the board that it's hard to deny them. Well, consistent to a degree, at least. But the finals then was the Lab Rats versus Youngbloods, which was exactly what we wanted to see going into this episode, quite frankly, or at least I did.
Who are we talking about right now? The finals?
Yeah. We'll move past that.
Okay, I'm wait. Okay,
we can go into some details here. Okay. Michelle Warnky destroyed Bree Widener. Brian slipped up in the floating tiles. Tyler got ahead in one, and yeah, it's just whatever.
It wasn't close, guys. It really wasn't.
But in the finals, we had Lab Rats and Ronin, and wow, I love the extended course as much as the quick front portion can be good. There is nothing compared to a full-on extended course run. The favorite parts of the episode for sure.
Best part of the season. Talk about an addition. Not only is the extended course phenomenal, but the obstacles involved in the final course, they didn't change it up, but I actually don't mind that, and the fact that they had a very high difficulty level. And I think that zigzag at the very end was just the most perfect thing imaginable, because, and I don't know how you feel, Rich, but previous seasons, the rope climb or that spider climb, whatever we had, it was cool and all, but I feel like it wasn't even spider climb, was it? It was the invisible ladder, right?
Spider climb.
Obstacle?
I feel like it was spider climb. Did they do both? Maybe it was both.
I think it was invisible ladder once, but it could have been. Either way, it kind of played to just competitors with really strong arms. Something like the zigzag, it involves technique and I don't know, leg strength and upper body strength, if that makes sense. It definitely plays to a more how do I put this?
Varied skill set?
Yeah, I guess. It goes more for a competitor that just isn't training upper body all the time. It's open to more ninjas.
Let's take a look at some of these runs here. We had these ones I want to go through one by one because they're just so good.
Yes.
Chris Wilczewski versus JJ Woods right off the bat. Chris makes his big move in the parallel pipes, which is absolutely brutal. But by the time they get to the salmon ladder, JJ is caught back up. They are dead even. Both enter the zigzag climb. They were just going full out the whole way. It was such an exciting matchup. JJ ends up slipping out of the zigzag climb, though, and Chris Wilczewski brings it home for his team. putting Lab Rats up 1-0.
Yeah, the story to this run was JJ. He was always in close behind, so to speak, but neither of the competitors really ever stopped and collected their breaths. So they were just completely exhausted by the time they got to the zigzag, and yet they kept pushing forward. It was like iron sharpens iron, where neither one of them was going to budge and slow down. They just had to keep on gutting forward. And it was just one of those stories where it's like, who would falter? Who would falter first? Because they just gave it their all. And I don't know. It was one of those things where they just rose above everything that they probably expected from even themselves.
Yeah. Yeah. No complaints whatsoever. Great matchup. Everything you want, right? You want that back and forth. You want them pushing that way. And speaking of Michelle versus Meagan, matchup of the century. 11-0 record versus 9-0 record. And both of these women are not normally pushed at all on the course, right? They just go in, they do their thing, and then look back a few obstacles to see where their competitor was at that point.
Yeah. In many ways, this is what this show is for, You want the dream matchups, and we always think Jesse Graff versus Meagan Martin or Casey Canzaro versus whoever, In many ways, when you see the fact that they start implementing all these statistics into, right before the runs, that really started amping up for me my excitement. Seeing Meagan Martin undefeated throughout all of her seasons, and then you see Michelle Warnky, same thing, undefeated. And just the talent. And it's not like, oh, this person's 3-0 and this person's like 2-0. No, we got 11-0 versus 9-0.
Yeah.
Stuff is real, y'all. Like, this is about to get serious. And man, I don't know. Like, going into it, I was like, I have no idea who's got this. But I was really excited to see.
I couldn't call it. I had no idea, like, how it was going to go. And you couldn't. And as you're watching it, you don't know because they were just dead even. Like, Meagan got an early lead, and it's so weird to watch them, either one of them start to fall behind. Is like you're just not used to seeing it, but they're so consistent, right? They pull dead even, they get into the zigzag, and I still couldn't call it. As they're going through it, you're like, oh my God, who is going to bring this home? What is going to happen? Michelle makes one little slip up looks like she's trying to shortcut over the zigzag a little bit. Slips for a second, and that was it. Meagan just brought it home in the end, and I have never been more excited for a matchup any of these seasons, I think, than this one.
It was brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. I mean, ding for that. Just ding of excellence, Just the fact that we saw Meagan Martin just gut it out at the very end and have this burst of just pure heart and just give it her all, explode up in that final part of the zigzag. And then we see the heartbreak, as you alluded to, Michelle Warnky just slipping up a little bit, and that's all it took. But yet both of them were able to push each other to the very limits, and they both got up that zigzag. The first time ever we saw two women get up the zigzag. And it was just all done in spectacular fashion. I'm so happy for them. And in many ways, this is one of the all-time classic matchups we'll ever see in Ninja versus Ninja, Team Ninja Warrior, whatever you want to call, what we're seeing when it comes to this. This is a run that I will always, always remember.
Following that up, we had Brian Wilczewski versus Flip Rodriguez.
Who'd you got in this one going in?
You know what? Actually, to be fair,
right?
To be fair, Flip has had a few shocking falls through Team Ninja and this, so I mean, it really could go either way.
He's had quite a few falls, actually, in particular last season. But Brian's always a question mark. He either looks incredibly impressive or it's just like, what happened,
Brian muscled past him on the pipes. Really shocking to see that. Flip catches up on the staircase. But Brian ends up falling. He missed a rung on the sandal ladder.
I mean, it was really cool and close, but then it was one of those anticlimactic ones where it's like you're halfway through and it's very close, and then just something happens, and you're like, oh,
yeah,
okay.
Shake and bake. Get the Talladega Nights. If you're not first, you're last. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't.
Yeah. But in particular, going into the relay, that's the one thing that I was very excited about because, as you said, both teams are at their very best when they're doing relays. Both teams, like all the members, have obstacles where in parts of this course where they're very, very strong at. So I was curious to see who would come up, like, I guess the best, when it came to this.
What did you think of the order that the Lab Rats went with, putting Chris first and Michelle on the anchor run?
I thought it was smart. Michelle looked strong in the later half. I didn't see her necessarily go slow or anything.
Nope.
So I thought that was fine. And the one thing about Chris is we saw him do that crazy, impressive thing on the parallel pipes. So if he were to get a very big buffer for his team, I think it's brilliant. Yeah,
I don't think it was really should have been a question. It's almost funny that they called it out in this case. It was like, no, that's 100% the way I would have lined them up too. So in this case, Chris got ahead, of course, because of that crazy movie does, but Flip was able to close the gap. So we had JJ Woods versus Michelle Warnky on the back half of the course, which I was super excited to see how it was going to go down. But unfortunately, Michelle fell on the salmon ladder, which meant that Team Ronin ended up winning.
Yeah. I mean, Ronin, they definitely earned this. They had to fight with all their teeth and claws and barely made it to the finals. Very curious to see how well they do in the championships or finals or whatever you call it. But, big props to Lab Rats. I mean, they're kind of a team, at least myself, I was sleeping on. I definitely knew they were strong, but I didn't know how strong and impressive they'd actually be. And I'm thoroughly impressed with them. They could have easily made it to the finals, and all members should be very proud of themselves.
Yep, so that means in the finals, we have Le Breakfast Club, Party Time, Iron Grip, and Team Ronin next week.
All right, call it, man. Who you got? Who's winning? You already know I got Ronin all the way. Yes. Ronin all the way.
I went back to see who my picks were because I was like, who did all my teams get through practically? Because I had Team Ronin, Party Time, and Tryhards. The only reason Tryhards aren't here is because Party Time took them out. So I feel really good in my picks this season. I feel like I really called this. So you've been, as much as I did have Team Ronin, I feel like you had them a little higher in your list. So we'll say if Team Ronin's your pick, I'm sticking with Party Time.
All right. They can easily win. I am just going to say, under no circumstances, guys, sleep on Iron Grip. I feel like they can very, very, very much play spoiler. I cannot doubt the extreme speed and skill of Daniel Gill. So keep an eye out on that. And, really, I kind of want to see, I pray this happens, man. I really want to see Meagan Martin versus Jessie Lebrec. Could you, dream come true again. Dream matchup again.
There is no matchup that's bad in this episode. Like, we're looking at Tiana, who are the other options? Tiana Weberly and Barclay Stockett. Like, all these matchups are going to be fantastic.
Yeah. Actually, Tiana versus Barclay is another dream match. That'll be fun, too. Like, I was saying Meagan and Lebrec because they're very strong upper body focused women, that I kind of want to see. But yeah, Tiana and Barclay actually have very similar skill sets themselves. So fun stuff, man. This is going to be interesting going in the finals.
So so that's the women matchups. For the men, what's going to be the dream matchup here? Who do we want to see run against each other?
Let me think. Daniel Gill. Dream matchups would probably be maybe Flip and Daniel. It really is Daniel in both. I really want to see Daniel against everybody because I consider him honestly, out of all the competitors, for me, he is the strongest out of all the competitors in the finals. I'm just saying that blank statement. But I really want to see Daniel versus really both guys in Party Time. I really want to see him against Brian Arnold and Jake Murray, and I also kind of want to see him against Flip Rodriguez. So, who you got, man?
I think you called the bigger ones, but other than that, I really want to see how the kid does against these veterans. Like, there's a lot of big name ninjas in here. I want to see how he matches up, how he does.
Honestly, I want to see the kid Matisse versus Daniel Gill. I just want to see Daniel Gill against everybody, but I don't know.
Matisse versus John Alexis Jr. could be interesting.
That would be interesting. Matisse is very tall, though. I remember I was shocked. He was
Yeah,
like
that's
6'1"
true.
or something
That's
like
true,
that.
yeah.
I want to see. I always like the visual of just John Alexis versus like shorter competitors. We need to get like a really short guy versus him, like Yamauchi or something.
I think their teams went up against. They didn't match them up. It was like, oh, come on, they're in the same episode. How do you not match those two up?
I know, it's like right there. Come on.
Before we go, we have a question here from Nathan Stinson on Twitter. Bijan, it was awesome seeing you on the show. So proud of you. Questions to answer for the podcast. Was your fall due more to physical weakness, mistake, or lack of or poor technique?
Definitely not physical weakness. I trained for a while, and I'm very, very confident in my upper body. I'll definitely say that. Not as confident in my lower body. I'm very fast, but I can't say I have the strongest hip flexors. Spider climb is one of my weaknesses. But yeah, upper body, I got that in droves. Like, trust me when I say that. Mistake, definitely. It was all blur to me, but watching back, it's kind of like I'm just down. Like, why didn't I wrap my legs around it, Why didn't I just lift my knees up? It's one of those things where in the moment, just wasn't thinking about it. Went into this run really just wanting to entertain more than anything else. I mean, obviously do well, but really show off my personality more than anything else. And I'm very proud of the fact that I was able to do that. If you guys see the show, there's a lot of people that just are focused, and I'm sure that's the thing to do because obviously they get further than me. But hey, whatever. Yeah. Mistake. I left my legs down, didn't, get my knees up or hit with my legs at all in the thing, and it just shot out from underneath me.
The second question.
No!
It was a two-parter here. Had you made it past that obstacle, what do you think your outcome would have been?
Realistically, I'd be like, oh, get up that mega wall and everything. Realistically, nah. I mean, come on, y'all. Let's be real. I don't know, Rich. I mean, I'm fairly certain. I was very worried more than anything else about the cannonballs because of the balance aspect of it. But at that point, I've seen a lot of people get through it just by sheer running and placement. So let's just say I get through the cannonballs because I feel like I could. That said, I mean, I felt like I could have got past a crayon as well, to be honest with you.
Right.
So who knows? Dumb mistakes. That's the story of the show. And you can never overlook an obstacle, and I'm certainly not overlooking it. But let's just say I get past it. If there's an obstacle where I feel like I have a chance of getting through, but most likely wouldn't be able to, it would definitely be those doorknobs, the doorknob drop. That one, it's, if anybody's ever trained on doorknobs, it is so incredibly difficult. And the way that they are free roaming and just the way you grip them and everything, that's asking a whole lot from you, especially the 1-2 punch of the sky hooks. So definitely doorknob drop. I don't think I'd get through that, to be honest with you.
Well, the sky hooks was first, right? Before the doorknob. So
yeah. And the sky hooks is just one of those question marks where it's like, I feel like I can do it, but you just, I don't know, man. That's one of those weird ones where it's like, I really want to try that obstacle. Just like I really want to try like the rolling log and really that weird ring like obstacle from this episode where it's like, I genuinely don't know how, like, I don't know anything about that, man. Maybe it's difficult, but from similar obstacles I've tried at gyms, I've done well at them. So that's why I'm saying I don't think I'd go out on it. But at the same time, as I've alluded to many times, everything on ANW course is far larger than it is just anywhere else and higher. So it's like, yeah, I've done similar obstacles and done well on them, but that doesn't mean anything when it comes to this. End of the day, I always say no excuses. The whole point of the show is, there's no margin for error, and I made an error. But I'd always feel more better about my run if I fell. I guess due to the fact that my muscles gave out or physically I had nothing more to give. The fact that I fell on a transition, that kind of rubs me the wrong way where it's like, I just have that hole and I kind of just want to go for it again if they'd ever have me. Like, I really just want to give it another try, if that makes sense, because I just know I have much more than that.
All right, so that is it for our recap this week. Before we wrap things up here, Bijan has a few shout-outs to make.
Yeah. So, first of all, like us or rate us on iTunes. Give us, 5 stars. So if you're feeling, nice, whatever. But, definitely rate us on iTunes. And if you do, I'll give you a special shout-out. So, big old shout-out to ANW10. She is dope. She is amazing. She is the best. Also, Nerd Chronic, you are the bomb. So, special shout-out to you both. You guys are awesome. Thank you. Thank you so much for your ratings and support and love of the show. That also said, I have to give an amazing shout out to Rod, Jess, Lindsay, and Nikki over at American Ninja Warrior. They were so instrumental in getting me on the show and the process and helping me out, but more than anything else. David Marcus, I love you, bro. You are the man. For everybody who doesn't know, he was the key. He's kind of like the guy for American Ninja Warrior, at least in the LA qualifiers. And he just was always open to me and answered every question I had and prepared me for the show so much from the A&W side of it. And I don't think I could have been prepared or ready for the show if it wasn't for him. And big fan of our show, I know. And just, I love you, bro. I appreciate you. And thank you so much for letting me, be on the show and make my dreams come true. From my heart, just thank you.
One quick thing I gotta ask. The ratings, if you send us a 5-star rating and you're not in the US and you would like a shout out, hit us up on one of our social media or send an email to let us know you did it, because Bijan only sees the American ones by default, so we got to know where to look for it. So outside of the US, make sure you do that extra step, please. So to send those in, you can reach me as rich@ninjapodcast.com. I am at Ninja Podcast on both Instagram and Twitter. Oh, and by the way, like us on Facebook as well. And Bijan, how can they reach you?
Hit me up on Twitter and Instagram at Bijan151. That is Bijan 151.
All right, thank you all for listening, and I hope you have a terrific week.
Peace and love, y'all. Because I forgot, Moose, you get an athletically profound run of the night. You go, Moose. Let's see Mrs. Moose on the course next year.